All right, everyone. Hello. This is the first video of the Chapter 5 lecture about leisure in a past society, sorry. So we're going to learn about the historical perspective into leisure and leisure's meaning. First of all, why do we care about history? Well, first of all, it is to learn unique meanings of leisure in a past specific historical times. For example, what did leisure mean for ancient Greek, those people, thousands of years ago? And there are different meanings across the time, and we want to learn that. Why though? Because that way we can identify contemporary counterparts, as in what leisure meant potentially thousands of years ago. There could be something similar today, and we can learn about what we are, what we do today by learning about the history. Another point is to know that the meanings of leisure can change over time because there are diverse meanings of leisure across time and space. And that way, we know that we can change the meaning of leisure. Some of the meanings of leisure are not necessarily positive. Maybe they're related to unhappiness. Maybe they're related to social injustice. So we need to change that. And by learning history and how meanings changed, we know actually that we can change those meanings. And maybe we even be able to learn about how to facilitate those changes as well. So history is very, very important. And textbook, your chapter 5 discusses leisure in 12 different time periods. That's a lot. And then, new edition of chapter add more and more, which I like, but at the same time, that's a lot. So on the next slide, I list everything, 12. And we must know 4 times that are highlighted in red, okay? If you take a leisure studies course, you cannot get a passing grade without knowing those 4. So you gotta know those things, okay? But these 4, I also recognize are very Eurocentric. So they're about Western society, they're about North American societies, and we know that the war is not just about that, okay? So choose, I will give you a choice here. Choose at least 3 out of the remaining 8 eras, and that you want to remember, that you're interested in, and you want to, critically analyze for your exam, okay? So be prepared for at least 3 out of the remaining 8 period of time. Okay, that's your journey, that's your choice. It's up to you. Maybe you want to choose something that's totally different place than you ever been. Or something like maybe you're from China or you find extra ancient China, so you're interested in that. That's cool too. Here we go. These are the 12 that I was talking about. So these red 4, number 4, 5, 9, 12, you must know, you will see on your exam, probably in your quizzes and all that. And out of the other 8, you can choose other things. Arguably, we have less content because we have less research done, paper written about these black ones, but they're still very interesting and important part of our history. So let's begin our journey with leisure among Neanderthals. We're talking about basically Ice Age up to Stone Age, basically. And these are the quote-unquote human beings or human relatives who lived about 200,000 to 30,000 years ago. That's a long, long time ago. In today's Eurasia, the Europe and Asian, that big continent, and Africa. The question is, did they have any leisure? I mean, they may not have had a work per se, so what did the leisure look like, right? These are the people who are doing mostly hunting. Did they have free time to begin? And if they did something for fun, what was it? There is recent archaeological and anthropological study that's showing that maybe they have done some art, okay? There's apparently 9 red lines on a stone flake found in a South African cave from this period of time, inner layers of soil, earth, and maybe the earliest known drawing, quote unquote, art. made by humans or human relatives. Well, how does it look like? I'm going to show you the actual paper. This was 2017. I think it was published in a very famous journal called Nature. It's done by archaeologists, so it's not really done by leisure scholars. But here's the drawing. This is the layers of soil, right? I don't know if you can see in this left side picture, and this piece of the sort of stone, you can see, and it's magnified on the right side. And these reds are basically the strokes of the painting. And there are 9 strokes. And they know it was a red in color because of they analyzed the chemical compound of it. And they also know how, the order of stroke as well. That's pretty cool. Now the question is, first of all, is it a drawing? They don't even know. They would assume so. It's an abstract drawing. And and the next question is, if we're to say that it's leisure, then is it even leisure? Is it even art per se? Because we can draw stuff for the sake of more, practical reasons. Maybe we're communicating some danger, some necessary information, which may not be so leisure-like. I don't know, but I want to ask you, what does this look like for you, this drawing? Obviously, we don't really know. This is one of the, cutting edge, really, really recent research, and we don't really know about leisure or anything about this time so much. But now, it's very exciting to even think and imagine that maybe back in a time, they had some type of leisure. Gary Chick is a professor who retired from Penn State University down in the States, and he is the most cultural anthropologist of leisure. And he argued that people in the Stone Age and maybe Ice Age too, they are the people who might have had a more leisure, or maybe more accurate to say, free time than later agricultural eras. Why is that? There is actually anthropological evidence, which I think we will talk about in chapter 5, that basically hunting, which was common in the Stone Ice Age more, it takes less time actually than we thought it would be. Because people working just a few days of a week. And the rest of the time, you're eating, you're doing other stuff. So you have a free time compared to agriculture time when you have to constantly attending to the soil. Maybe you're putting some stuff in the soil, or making sure there's no bugs or whatever that might be, which takes a lot of your time. So maybe those paintings, drawings, were actually leisure, for the leisure's sake. Maybe it wasn't so much practical. We don't know yet, but Gary Chick at least argued that they may have had a more free time than the people in a later time. The second historical time that we talk about is ancient Egypt. And here we started to see a lot of commonality between back in time and today's leisure. According to the textbook, family leisure was very important, and by family leisure, we mean leisure done by family, right? Today, it tends to be more of a nuclear family leisure, like parents and their children, right? But especially in an older time, and maybe in ancient Egypt, the family meant different things. It included more extended family, right? Your grandparents potentially, or even before that, and potentially your extended family kinship, like cousins and aunties and uncles and those people as well. And today we do something like, for example, barbecuing. We just did actually barbecuing a little bit, and that's really interesting. Eating outside, cooking outside is really fun. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. In ancient Egypt, though, textbook tells us that all family members, many family members probably, played a variety of musical instruments, which is very cool. Maybe something like this on the left side picture, that different people, assumingly kids in the center, and adults are playing different musical instruments, and they're just jamming. It's a lot of fun. And music being one of the most universal and one of the oldest leisure activity that human beings do. It makes a lot of sense. Ancient Egyptians are also known for their talent, gift for games. They invented a lot of games, and apparently one of the most famous one they created was called Sonnet, and that's the right side of the picture. The left side half of it is like a little boxy thingy. It apparently looked like a table. I don't know even how to play, and I'm very interested in knowing it, if anybody knows about that. But exciting. Games, we still play those board games today. Third historical time we learn is ancient China. This is a new edition in this version of textbook, and which is very, very exciting. So we have something from East Asia too. So textbook tells us that leisure back in ancient China was a key component of Confucianism thought, Taoism even potentially, and Buddhism. Now I put a little bit of question mark next to Taoism because my wife, as I told you, is a leisure scholar as well. She has a PhD, she's a researcher, she studies leisure, especially from Chinese perspective. She's Chinese. And she knows, she read those original texts of Confucianist, Taoist, Buddhism, Buddhist textbook and text about the leisure that contain information about leisure. And she was a bit of skeptical about Taoism contribution, relevance to leisure, because some of the Taoism thoughts is very actually sort of out there, a supernatural type of thing too. But definitely Confucianism and Buddhist thing. A lot of Chinese scholars agree with that. Now, these philosophies or beliefs or, Buddhism can be more of a religion, emphasize different types of harmony. And harmony is a key concept in this ancient China, obviously, but also leisure in ancient China as well. According to these researcher, Ma Huidi, M.A., this Ma Huidi is one of the most famous Chinese leisure scholar of our time. But, so what do we mean by harmony? Ma identified 3 kinds of harmony that are important to Confucianist and Taoist and Buddhist thoughts. First is harmony with nature, being one with nature, rather than destroying and affecting the nature in a negative way, being, one with it and coexisting with the nature. Using the nature to your benefit, but not destroying it. Harmony with others, other people, interpersonal. Obviously, you have heard a concept called collectivism that oftentimes East Asian culture and many other parts, African, Central and Southern American, some of the Middle Eastern culture really emphasize the group orientation. So harmony with others and making this harmonious relationship without a conflict. And then finally, harmony with yourself. Having a peaceful, calm, tranquil mind is very important, was important. Does this sound like something that we do right now? I mean, Confucianism or maybe Buddhist thoughts get popular and popularized sometimes. Things like Zen, you heard that, some people like Zen, some yogi, those people who practice yoga, mindfulness, that some of their, thoughts and practices are coming from Buddhism, right? It's sometimes about achieving harmony with yourself and achieving this peaceful mindset. Nature. We know that the nature is very, very important. And the Canadian people, if you've been to Canada, or if you live in Canada, you know that the mountains are a very important part of Canadian leisure and spending some quiet time with it. And a harmony with others. Still the vast majority of the global population are collectivistic, research shows, rather than individualistic. Of course, some countries like the US, some of the European countries can be exceptions, but even you can see some of the harmony with others important even among Canadian people. The textbook talk about in ancient China, or actually still in contemporary China too, there's one word called 续仙. I know I'm not pronouncing it well if you speak Mandarin, but it's one of the Chinese words for leisure. Okay, there are several. And Chinese word and Chinese characters are characters. You know, it's a letter. It's different from alphabet, you know, letters like A, B, C, D. A is A, right? There's nothing more meaning to that. But those Chinese characters are coming from some pictures and images, and they kind of change. So they have their own meaning, its own meaning. So there are two characters in this Chinese word, shu, xian. The first character, shu, is this one in the center. It actually coming from a picture of human kind of, you know, sitting back on a tree and taking a rest. It literally means resting, shu. The second character is, if you actually look at the right side, really bottom, a little tiny thingy. I don't know if you can see my cursor, and that's shan. Shan, probably, that's closer. And it's a simplified Chinese. This is not simplified traditional one. And the origin of it is that you are seeing moon. So it's a nighttime, maybe quiet. You see the moon through the window, through the gate. It's very also sort of quiet, peaceful imagery. So two characters together, shu, xian, really has this relaxing, calming connotation, they argued, at least in ancient China. And maybe some of the contemporary Chinese people associate maybe shu, xian is more of a relaxing, calming things, rather than something like listening to upbeat music and, you know, going to some sort of concert and rock music concert type of thing. So there's that unique meaning, cultural meaning to leisure as well. I'm going to stop it here, first video, and I'll see you in a second video.